to support the platform just in case anything like this happens again, you can do it by way of PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and also by the Anchor. And you can also further support the platform by way of going to the Teespring store or the shoe store that is located in the comment section below.
Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
We need to address, well, first of all, no, I don't think America is a racist country.
Let's just go over a little bit of this article that should not be so shocking to a lot of black people. Nearly every day, the one-time Ontario warehouse employee stated that he was stunned to hear racist slurs from Latino co-workers. Quote, "They say it in English, they said it in Spanish all the time." This was stated by Leon Simmons, who is a black father of 4. He also stated that when they look you right in the eye and call you the N-word to your face, that's dehumanizing. Another black worker that worked at the Moreno Valley warehouse stated a similar story. His name is Benjamin Watkins. He described how a Latino coworker called him, "Hey monkey, yeah you," and waved a banana in her hand as a group of women burst out laughing in the warehouse. It was also stated in an article, in America's long history, harassment and discrimination against black workers has usually involved white perpetrators, and that remains the case to this day. But with the rapid growth of the Latino population, now at 19% in the United States and 39% in California, Latinos form the majority in many low-wage workplaces, and instances of anti-black bias and colorism among them is drawing new scrutiny, even as activists in the two communities forge alliances over criminal justice and economic development. Latinos certainly are targets of job discrimination as well and continue to struggle for equity in the workplace. But the two largest racial bias cases brought by the federal government in California in the last decade allege widespread abuse of hundreds of black employees at warehouses in the Inland Empire, the state's booming distribution hub for trade between the United States and Asia. In interviews, black employees stated that a torrent of racist insults and discriminatory treatment was mainly inflicted by Latino coworkers and supervisors who composed roughly 3/4 of the workforce at the sprawling facilities in Ontario and Moreno Valley. Mayete, a type of beetle and Spanish slang for the N-word, was a common taunt according to interviewers and court filings. United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission lawsuit alleges that supervisors at the global medical supplier Cardinal Health and Ryder Integrated Logistics, a subsidiary of the trucking giant, along with their staffing firms, routinely ignored harassment in Spanish and English at their Inland Empire warehouses. They gave black employees the hardest manual jobs, denied them training and promotions, and failed to take action despite dozens of complaints, according to court filings and interviews. Many of the black workers were hired through temp agencies. When they complained, managers, both white and Latino, retaliated by disciplining them or abruptly firing them. Others felt forced to quit because of intolerable working conditions created by the hostile work environment. Cardinal, Ryder, and their temp firms denied the accusations, but as scores of black employees came forward and the EEOC interviewed witnesses, the companies settled the case last year rather than face jury trials. Quote, "We are seeing an increase in large race harassment cases. The nature of them has gotten uglier. There's a more blatant display of hatred with the N-word and imagery with nooses. All the violence you're seeing in the news, it is manifesting in the employment context." Now about 300 black workers are gaining compensation, some as much of tens of thousands of dollars through Inland Empire settlement. Cardinal agreed to pay $1.45 million, and Ryder and Chemical Staffing Services, which supplied workers to Ryder, settled for $1 million each. The warehouse operators and their staffing firms include the Glendale Temp Agency. Apple One, which supplies workers to Cardinal, must offer extensive harassment training in English and Spanish and submit a stringent monitoring for verbal abuse, bias, and retaliation. The Los Angeles Times contacted more than 2 dozen current and former Latino workers from Cardinal and Ryder. None agreed to do an interview. Nationwide, EEOC records show prejudice can affect any race or ethnicity, but black victims are the predominant ones suffering. Over the last decade, the agency has won settlements in 171 race discrimination suits involving black workers, 59 cases involving Latino victims, 12 involving Asian victims, and 6 involving white victims. Though the agency tracks the race and ethnicity of victims, it does not compile official statistics on offenders, nor are their databases of private cases categorized by a perpetrator's race. This makes it harder to gauge the extent of anti black hostility from Latino workers. But court filings of victims, allegations, and employer records show that in the last decade, about a third of anti black bias suits filed by the EEOC's Los Angeles and San Francisco offices involve discrimination by Latinos, about a third involved white offenders, and a third were unspecified. Like I said, I don't even have to read the full article because I know what it is that they're talking about. And funny enough, the word that they reference where it describes a beetle in Spanish, I think I've actually heard that word being used in public before every now and again, but I really didn't understand and knew, what it meant. But now that I know, thanks to, right, this article and me getting educated on that word, right? This is again why I also stated to black people why it is imperative for you and your children to start to learn different languages, specifically more so than any other things. You need to learn Arabic. You need to learn, um, Mandarin. You also need to learn Spanish, right? I'm just being honest. It's the best way to sit up there and navigate around this world, and it also gives you extra tools just in case you want to get hired at a job and you want to have one up over everybody else. Like I said, being bilingual, being black is the best thing to sit up there and do. But the reason why I'm not going to read the rest of this article is because there's no need to. I've understood by having a Latin supervisor, right? Spanish speaking supervisor. I understand that they're going to look out for their own and the best interest of their own, which is completely fine. I get that. I understand that you're going to make sure to get your own people in first and to promote them first, even though they're not, they might not be doing the most awesome or the best, of a job, but you're going to look out for your own people. Like I said, I get it. I get it. This is why I sat up there and stated to black people. We have a lot of issues amongst ourselves. We have a lot of things that we need to get over. There's a lot of conversations that we need to have very quick, fast, in a hurry so that we can drop a lot of small, minor issues. Because the main thing that I've always told you guys before on this platform is that black people need to come together and practice group economics. We need to practice group hiring. We need to look out for ourselves, right? We need to benefit ourselves. Stop paying attention to other people trying to tell you that the way this line of thinking, trying to look out for yourselves. Stop listening to people tell you that that's selfish and that's being discriminatory and that's being racist and what about everybody? Like I said before, the people that are trying to get you away from doing that are the very same people who are practicing this within their own communities, right? Because black people got to realize they don't want you practicing group economics because they depend on your money. We spend more money with every other group and every other nationality out here versus every other group doing that with us. And that's just facts. We will literally throw our money towards everybody else's community and then look at our communities last and be like, yeah, maybe I'll buy something from like a black designer or a black shop or some black food, a black market, whatever it is. Like I said, it's not even a thought when it comes to those other communities. The other communities are like, yeah, I'm about to buy from my people first and then everybody else last. I'm going to make sure that my people get theirs first and everybody else gets theirs last. If they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. That's how they look at everybody else. But like I said, black people are the only ones on this planet that put everybody else first, everybody else's interests, everybody else's communities first before we put ourselves and our own community and our own people first. This is why we're lagging behind. This is why we're in last place, even though we're the fastest, even though we're so athletic and all these other type of things, even though we're so intelligent. This is why we're still in last place. Because we don't practice this amongst ourselves. We don't support ourselves. We don't support our people. We don't support our communities. Because if we did, we would very easily have our own banks on every single block, because they would use the money from the communities, from the block, in order to do things for the block. Like I said, it's very simple to do these things, but black people make it so difficult because they realistically don't want to do it. Because people would rather wait for white men to show up and be like, yo, you need to give us what it is that you owe us, versus while waiting on that, whenever that happens, you already have a plan in place where you're making money basically happen. You're making moves and plans transpire without the help of other people. You're doing it within your own community, by way of your own people, by way of your own money, right? Like I said before, there's a multitude of ways to stop a lot of this from transpiring, taking place. But do black people really want to do it? And I keep asking that question. And it's like people overlook everything else. Like I said, I've talked about racism and everything else on both platforms for a very long time. But my main thing is this: do black people really want the things that they say that they want, or do they just want to sit up here and complain? Because when I look at people that actually have a solution and that put forth that solution and they make that solution work, like I said before, brother Moses West, he saw that there's an issue with the water. He see that other communities in other areas, around the world are having issues with water. So he came up with a solution. He made a machine that can basically make water directly out of thin air. That's a dude who spotted a problem, took action, came up with a plan, invested in himself and the plan, came forth with a company, produced the actual product from the plan and the monies that were put together, and he delivered the product. But how many people in the black community are really willing to do the exact same thing as brother Moses West, where you can clearly see a problem and you're ready to sit up there and come through with a blueprint, and you're ready to find some type of way to get the money in order to make that blueprint a reality, and then deliver that product, aka that solution, so that you don't have to depend on other people to do for you what you should be able to do for yourself. Like I said, this is a story, and it really shouldn't even be a story, because this is something that is going to happen. People who are in power, people who have a little bit of control of something, they're going to do certain things in order to make sure that their people are the main ones that are able to succeed. They're not going to look out for you. Anybody that work in these warehouses that are Latino, they don't have the best interest for black people, nor do I expect them to. That would be a stupid expectation to sit up there and have. I have no expectation that anybody of another group is going to love black people more than I love black people. Please. Please, please. Like I said, please. That's not even the thing. So the best thing that black people can sit up there and do is just learn from this experience. Whatever money that these workers did sit up there and get, hopefully they will practice group economics. And from doing this business, they'll start up their own business where they will hire black people, where they'll make sure that, the same way that they were treated when they were working for somebody else, they don't do that same thing to black people. They'll make sure that black people have a safe space where they don't have to worry about, going into the bathroom and seeing the N-word scribbled, or going into the women's bathroom and seeing people say derogatory things about black women. Like, I didn't even get to that part. I didn't even get to that part in the article about the things that were written in the bathrooms, and then how the company was like, oh yeah, we know about these things, but we hurried up and, like, we painted over it and acted like it never even happened. Like I said, these companies don't care, because you are not the main go-tos when it happens. Like I said, the moment in time that these companies will actually respect black people is when black people are the overwhelming work majority when it comes to those companies. When all it takes is for one black person to be like, yo, we just had something that happened, everybody that's black, we're taking a day off right now, and then the workforce is basically 98% gone. That's the moment in time that they'll actually sit up there and respect you, because that's power. Because without you, they can't sit up there and do certain things. But because black people aren't really working in a lot of these jobs anymore, and we're doing a variety of other things, this is what happens. Like I said, remember, black people, we used to make up a lot of these jobs, a lot of these temp agencies, a lot of these factory jobs, and so on and so on and so on. But things have transitioned, things have changed, and this is where we are at this moment in time. So, like I said, black people have to do the same thing that we normally do with everything else. We have to evolve, we have to transform, we have to become better. We got to educate ourselves on a lot of different things, and we got to start doing for self.